favorite subject. So, first of all, teaching on Zoom is super fun, but I feel like I talk to myself for an hour. So interaction is highly encouraged. Feel free to unmute yourself at any time and jump in, ask a question, share a story, like anything, okay? It will be appreciated. So for some of you guys, I don't know if I've met all of you. I'm Amy. I am the MCA for the Mid-Valley office and the South Valley office, which is basically just the CFO. I do all of the finances and manage all the books for both market centers. I'm also an agent as well. I've been an agent for about 11, 12 years, something like that. So I've been in your shoes as well. I've been a newer agent learning these things. And I've also seen it now from the other side as well. So I'm excited to talk some finance with you guys. First of all, for me, finances growing up had a big stigma around it. It wasn't like considered polite to talk about money in my household. And we were super duper poor, like so poor that like my dad volunteered with the Boy Scouts and we would do food drives and half the food would end up at my house. I never had new clothes. I had hand-me-downs from neighbors and brothers and sisters, and there was 7 of us kids in my family. So we had this really big family and we lived in a teeny tiny house and we didn't talk about money. And money was always wrapped in like shame because we didn't have as much as everybody else. So as I have grown more in the professional world and just more myself as a person, like that is something that drives me crazy, is the stigma about talking about money. Like I will tell you my whole story all day long. You can ask me anything. And for me, I just feel like making it secretive or shameful gives it a power that it shouldn't have. Gary Keller always says, money is just money and it's replaceable. You can always go out and find more if you have to, right? So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I'll tell you a little bit of my story as we go through things, but I'm going to jump right in. I've got a nice big presentation, so I'm going to go through fairly quickly just so we can get everything in. I just need to figure out which screen I need to share. Hang on. Let's see. Let me close that. Let me make this smaller for a second. Maybe move you guys over there. There we go. Okay. So let me pull up my presentation. We'll go into present mode. Get back on the first screen. Okay. Okay, let's see. Now let me share my screen. Okay, if I share that, are you seeing the presenter view, or you probably are just seeing the presenter view, huh?
We can see both.
You can see both?
Yeah, we can see both, Amy.
Does it look okay like that?
If you hit present on your presentation, then we'll be able to see both.
I think I did. Oh, wait, let's see.
There we go.
Okay. Phew,
There you go.
I don't do this a ton. Awesome. Okay.
Doing awesome.
Thanks. All right, let's see. We'll let Vicky in. Okay, so we are going to, oops, I skipped over the first one. Basic agent financials. So we're going to talk basic down and dirty. So virtually raise your hand if you are a business owner. Jake's a business owner. We should see everybody's hand up because you are all business owners. You own a real estate business that is affiliated with Keller Williams South Valley. You are a business owner. Real estate is a very expensive hobby. Don't treat it like one. Treat it as a business. You are all business owners. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to manage that business. For most of us, I think this is probably the first time we've owned a business. Maybe not, but for a lot of us, I bet it is. So your numbers tell a story about you and your business. And so learning to read your numbers and understand your numbers, we can learn a lot about you. So we're going to talk about how to use our numbers to tell our business's story. So money talks, but all mine ever says is goodbye. Let's Sarah in. Here she goes. Okay, so we're going to start at the very basics of money in Keller Williams South Valley, and that is called a DA. And a DA stands for Disbursement Authorization Form, which is super duper complicated for basically your paycheck stub when you close a deal with Keller Williams. So it's important to be able to read these because I can't tell you how many times I have sat with agents that have been with us for years and they have a question. I'm like, oh, it's right here. It's just this and this, and that's that. And they're like, oh my gosh, I never knew that. That would have been so much easier if I had known this all along. So this is our new version. When we switched accounting companies, it changed the way it looks a little bit, but all the information is the same. So when you get your check paid, you're going to receive one of these in an email from Priyanka. And this gives us all the information about your transaction. So when we get your commission, it's a giant pie, right? And that pie gets cut up into a bunch of different pieces. And you want to know where every dollar of that commission is going. This is what's going to tell you. So this is just a sample one that I pulled up. So this tells us that this was a buyer sell. It's got the address. The seller was a builder. It's got the buyer's names, the title company, the date it went under contract, the date that it closed. It's going to tell us the sales price, which is also going to be known as your closed volume, your commission, which is your gross commission income, GCI. And then we don't pull taxes out because you get to pay taxes yourself as a business owner. Now down here, it'll show you on the Keller Williams South Valley line, the total amount that was pulled out and paid to Keller Williams South Valley. And then this second line will have your name on it, and that's how much money you're taking home as your commission check. So that's page 1. The second page is full of details. So this tells us again some of the general information, what your gross commission was, if there were any concessions on it, if you charged a transaction fee, if there were any outside referrals. Outside referrals are when you're paying an agent from any office other than Keller Williams South Valley. And then your total commission. So here, his commission was $12,179, but he charged a $5.99 transaction fee. So the total amount of money that we're working with on this transaction is $12,778.70. Now, here's things that might come out. E&O. Well, we don't take E&O out per transaction. You pay one monthly fee, $24 every month to pay for your E&O. So that's always going to be zero. Then you've got your 2 splits. You've got your royalty split that goes directly to Keller Williams International, and you've got your company dollar. And your company dollar is the portion of money that you pay to Keller Williams South Valley. So that's going to be all broken up right here. And then it'll total it for you so you know how much total brokerage fees there were. This sample that I did, this agent was capped. So this is like the ultimate DA. This is what you want to see. You've already paid all your company dollar and you're getting 100%. So he made $12,778.70. He didn't have anything taken out because he's capped, and his agent check is going to be $12,778.70. We all want those kinds of checks. We all want the ones that are capped. Down here in deductions, this is just anything that you've told us to hold back from the check. So if you were paying a TC through the transaction, you might have a transaction coordinator deduction. If you're donating anything to KW Cares or any of the other charities, you might see that show up on a deduction as well. So this is going to tell you the total amount of money that we got and where every little piece of it went so that you understand how much your check is. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on that?
The E&O, that includes just like our service fee here?
The E&O is your errors and omissions insurance. So that is what you pay monthly as part of your market center associate fees, that monthly fee that comes out. That pays your E&O premium. So that if you were to get sued for, something, then that E&O insurance would kick in. So that's
That
part
makes-
of the monthly dues.
And do we set up deductions? Like, do we set
You
that up?
can. You
Okay.
can, when you're entering all of this into Command as you're processing your transaction, you can either set memorized deductions. Like if you're like, every time I have a closing, pull $25 to KW Cares. You can tell it to do that and it'll do it every time. Or it'll ask you just on this transaction specific, would you like to, add any deductions to this? So it's totally up to you. All customizable. And we go over all of that in the prep to get paid class. So hop onto that one next time we have that one, and it'll show you how to do all of that back end stuff.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay, so how do you know if you're doing well? How do you keep score in real estate? There's a few ways. So when we talked about that GCI, you'll hear that term a lot, your gross commission income. That's the total amount of commission that you made on that deal. The volume, again, that's basically your closed sales price is going to be your closed volume. How many units or how many closed deals? So if you had 10 units, you closed on 10 houses that month or whatever. Your net income is probably the most important one and is one that is most overlooked because a lot of people will say, yeah, I made, $100,000 in my real estate business this year. Awesome. But what was your net income? Because you have to think of what all of your expenses are. And the real way to tell if you're a good business owner is how much in the end ends up in your bank. So you might make 100,000, but if you're mismanaging your money, you might walk away with $40,000 net income. And that's a big difference. So we're going to talk a little bit about managing that as well. And then the last one is money in the bank. How much of that money makes it into our bank? And we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Any other type of things that you guys find that you judge yourself on for success as far as your business goes? All right, we'll go to the next one. So where do I find my numbers? So this here is a copy of what we call a multi-year trend report. And as you are with Keller Williams, this gets updated every month. You access this on your mykw.kw.com intranet under reports, and it just says associate production. It'll pull up this report with all of the key metrics, and it'll put it in for every single month and then every single year that you're with Keller Williams. So once you've been with us for 5 years or whatever, you can come to this report and look back and say, how much did my production change year over year or month over month? Or how much more did I do this year than I did my first year? And you can really analyze your numbers and look at all of those key metrics to see, am I growing at the pace that I thought I would grow? Or am I seeing some hardships and my numbers have gone down? Where can I see the patterns? Finding patterns in your business can help you predict future business. So this is very helpful. I pull one of these for the market center every month and have to analyze it and look for trends and look for things like, oh gosh, our listings have consecutively gone down over the last few months. We need to focus on listings. We need to bring in more training for listings. You can look at those things for yourself as well and say, oh gosh, the appointments that I logged have gone way down. I haven't been spending enough time on lead generation. And analyzing these metrics will help you in managing your time in your business. So mykw.kw.com reports, and then it's just going to be associate multi-year trends. Okay. All right, so what goes into your business? So income from your real estate business will include commission, obviously, right? That'll include your listing income and your sales income, any referral income, and any leasing income for residential or commercial transactions. So that's everything that we're feeding into our business. What goes out? We have 2 categories of expenses. One is the cost of sale, and one is an operating expense. Does anybody know the difference between the two? Bonus points if you do. Okay, no problem. Now you all do. Cost of sales is an expense that hits transaction based. If you sell a house, you're going to have that expense. If you don't sell a house, you won't. So we'll talk about what some of those are. Operating expenses, you have to pay whether you sell a house or not. You're going to have that bill due every month coming out of your account, whether you had any closings or not. So cost of sales is if you sell a house, you'll have this expense. Operating expenses are monthly expenses, regardless of whether you have a closing or not. Okay, so what goes out? Again, cost of sales, the cost of making the sale. That would be commissions paid to the office. We don't make you pay commissions if you don't have a closing. Royalty fees. Commissions are splits paid to employees or independent contractors. So if you're a team leader and you're splitting this commission with agents under you, then you don't have to pay them if there isn't a transaction, right? And referral fees. So if someone from Las Vegas refers a deal to you, when that deal closes, you pay them a referral fee. If that deal didn't close, you wouldn't have that fee. So these are costs that are tied to a transaction closing. That make sense? Okay, and then you've got operating expenses. So these are things that you have to pay whether you have a closing or not. So things like rent, if you're paying office rent, for your car, if you have admin staff that you're paying an hourly wage or salary to, your insurance, professional services, marketing and advertising, equipment and supplies, and education. So just a few examples. Does that make sense, the difference between the two types of expenses? Okay. So once you put all the money in and you've paid all the money out on your expenses, what is left over? So that is your net income or your profit. So with that, you can grow your company, you can invest in your future, you can do all those things that you want to do. So keep your eyes on that prize, is the net income or profit. So you should all have a copy of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. You should get that when you join Keller Williams. If you don't have yours, come see Erin at the front desk. Let's make sure you get one. This is literally a how to become a millionaire in real estate book. There is an agent here who was a struggling new agent, was literally living in his automobile, and he read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent and did every single little thing that it said to do. And I can tell you right now, he is a multimillionaire. These are concepts and models that work. As far as the economic model, and there's a whole section in here about managing your money, this is how we recommend you do that. So what comes in, right? That GCI, gross commission income, that's 100% of what's coming into your company. What goes out? Your cost of sales should be 30% and your operating expenses should be 30%, which means your leftover profit, your net income, is 40% of what you make. So as far as businesses go, to have a 40% profit margin is pretty awesome. That is pretty great. And we will show you how to set up your expenses so that you fall within this plan and this profit margin so that you can put 40% of everything you make in the bank and be covered. So I want to go to the next slide. There it goes. Okay, so for example, if you receive a $10,000 commission check, $10,000 is the check we receive from title. 3,000 of that should go toward your cost of sales, which is going to be like your market center cap. Operating expenses, $3,000. And then your net income and profit will be $4,000. And your operating expenses and stuff can vary. You can actually, depending on where you're at in your business, it might be less than that. Or at times it might be more than that, but you want to try and keep it right about that 30%. So this is the troubled flow of money. And I will admit, when I was a new agent, this was 100% my flow of money. This is how I treated it. So Mary Realtor gets a commission check for $10,000. $10,000 goes into her personal bank account, which then goes into her wallet. And then 0 goes into business savings and 0 goes into tax savings. And you might have lots of fun new things, but then come time to pay taxes, you don't have anything left in savings for taxes. So definitely need some planning and structuring around the flow of money. So this is the smart flow of money. So $10,000 check comes in. We deposit it into our business account. And then from there, you've got those branches. So you've got 60, 25, and 25%, right? So you've got unemployment tax savings, federal tax savings, and you've still got the percentage that goes into your wallet. So you've got 30% set aside for expenses. You've got your tax amount, and then you've got what goes into your personal account in your wallet. Always need to plan ahead. 40% for taxes. I mean, that's a little high. I usually plan on about 30. And once I pay my taxes, if there's anything left, I'll either reinvest that into the business or give myself a bonus. So totally up to you, but having that money is going to be amazing. When the taxes are due, have that set aside. So the flow of money for a solo agent, deposit 100% into your business account. 30% of that pays ongoing business expenses. Out of that remaining 70%, that can go to your personal checking account. You're going to save 40% of that for taxes, and then you're going to pay your personal expenses, invest, make charitable contributions, pay your mortgage, live your life with what's left over, right? Any questions on the flow of money? One thing you might have noticed is if you are bringing home your net income is 40% of your gross income. If you say, I want to make $100,000 this year, are you talking gross income or net income? You probably want it to be net income, which means you need to make more than that. So that after the cost of sales, the operating expenses, all of that come out. If you want to net 100,000, how much do you actually have to make? $160,000 to bring home and have $100,000 in your checking account. So when you're setting your goals, keep that in mind and figure your expenses into your goals. And talking about goals, this is the command goal tool. All of you have this in command under goals. You can come in and you can set, and it'll help you figure out exactly how much you need to make to be able to net what your goal is. It will help you break it all down. You can put in how much you spend a month in expenses, what are your cost of sales, what is your profit goal, and you put all of this information in, and it's going to help you set your goals. Then as you track these things in command, it's going to tell you how close you are to hitting those goals. So as you have a closing, your needle's going to move closer and closer to your goal. So if you have time, make sure you go in and you set your goals for 2025. So that as we head into the next year, you've got clarity on where you're heading and what you want to do with your business. Okay, all of us should have a financial team. Even if we are just a single agent doing our own single stuff, you need a financial team. You need a really strong accountant or bookkeeper, or you need to have strong skills there yourself. You definitely need to have a really good CPA and a tax advisor. You need to have an attorney in case you need one, have someone you can call. You need a good insurance agent and a good financial planner and a coach. So luckily, a lot of you guys on the call today are in productivity coaching. You've got a coach, someone that can help you along the path and make sure you're going the right direction. So lean in on that. A financial planner is great. I have once a quarter meetings with mine, and we'll just discuss where things are going, if I want to change things, how I'm set for retirement, all of those types of things. It's really great as a business owner to be looking down the road and planning ahead, because we don't have a lot of the benefits that other employees have, like a 401k or something like that. We might not have access to that. So planning for the future becomes even more important for our families and us. A really good CPA, absolutely. Get a CPA that knows real estate, that works with real estate agents. It's a little bit different, and it is well worth finding someone that has an abundant amount of knowledge in real estate, and a good accountant or bookkeeper. So you can do your own accounting, and I even have some tools that I'll share with you after the class, as far as like keeping your bookkeeping. But as a business owner, I should be able to sit down with you and say, hey, show me your income statement. And you should be able to pull that up and show me last month's income statement. I should be able to say, what's your budget for the year? And you could pull up a budget and show me what you have planned to spend in your business that year. If you don't have those, real estate's a really expensive hobby. You are a business owner. So we want to have all of these business documents in place, and you can do them yourself. And I will provide you with really easy templates. And then once you become millionaires and it's more complicated, then you can pass it off to an accountant or something. But everyone should have these. It's a requirement of our ALC, which is our Agent Leadership Council. So they're made up of the top 20% of the agents in the brokerages. It's a requirement of them that they are able to bring in their income statement every month and talk about that with the ALC. So very important stuff. How I feel when I stay within my budget. I always get teased that it's not in the budget is one of my taglines, because everybody asks me for money. So we want to get our budget in shape. In the MREA book, it gives us very clear percentages of where to allocate your money within those expenses that we talked about to get the best bang out of your buck. So the cost of sales is going to be your commissions and your royalties, right? Now your operating expenses, your salaries shouldn't exceed 12%. Your lead generation expenses should be around 9.2, like very specific numbers. Your occupancy, which is like your office rent, that's going to be 2%. Your communication and technology, so cell phones, that type of thing, 1.5%. Your education and your board dues, those types of things, 1%. Your automobile, 1%. So there's very specific amounts of what you should spend and where to get the biggest ROI on your investment that you're putting back into your business. These are all in the book. When change affects your plan, plan effective change. So the real estate market has changed a lot over the past year, 2 years, all over the place. I mean, in 2020, we were having, 20 offers on every house. And right now, our days on market is, I believe, upward of 60 days on a lot of homes right now. So we see a big fluctuation, and you need to be able to see the shifts in the market and plan your business accordingly. So the best way through a shift is to re-expense your business. Sure, you might think, well, I'll just sell an extra house. Way easier said than done, right? You guys are all working on selling houses. Sometimes that's hard to control depending on what the market shift is like, but you can always control your expenses. To generate more revenue, you need to generate more leads. So double down on your lead generation. To make a profit, you need to manage your expenses. So you need to look at both sides and what can I do to help me make more money? And what can I also do to keep more of the money that I've made? And that's how you're going to make it through a shift. So a budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Okay, so we're going to lead with revenue, which means if you don't have the money already, you don't spend it. We're only spending with our revenue. So you need to drop expenses until once again, the inflow exceeds the outflow. And sometimes that might be a really drastic change in expenses. You're going to play red light, green light. You're going to look at each of your expenses and is this a go? Is this a good expense that I cannot afford to lose? Or oh, should I put the brakes on a minute and maybe back off on this? There's a lot of expenses that you can put out in real estate. You get so many offers of buying leads or buy this or marketing or whatever. And you need to hold each and every expense accountable for its return on your investment. So every dollar that you spend, you should be getting $4 back. So you need to really look at where you're spending your money and make sure that the money you're spending is making you money. Negotiate on your accounts. How many have you have ever tried to cancel your cable? They do not make it easy, right? So you can go and you can call them and they'll give you 100 different things to do instead of canceling your cable. Well, what if we gave you Showtime free for 3 months? What if we did this? What if we gave you an extra receiver? Da, 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 da. Call and negotiate your accounts, because the worst thing that people can say is no. Okay, but the best thing they could say is yes. So if you are paying rent, go negotiate on your rent. Whatever it is, just call and try and negotiate on your accounts, and you'll be amazed at how much money you might be able to save yourself. So find what works, and then your money gets to be smart again. You really want your money to be making you money. If your money is not making you money, then it's not being smart, and you need to take it out of where you're spending it and put it somewhere else. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is a personal budget worksheet, and I'll send this out to everybody. I'll send it to Lori and Terry, and they can send it out to everybody after the call. This is basically a red light, green light activity. So you're going to put all of your expenses on here. It comes pre-filled with most expenses, and then you can always add in some if there's stuff that is on here that you have as an expense. Under the dollar sign, you're going to put how much you spend per month on that particular expense. And then you're going to mark. Green means I absolutely have to have this no matter what. This has to stay. Yellow would be, I could probably figure out a way to cut this, but it might hurt a little bit, but I could maybe look at that. Red means I could definitely do my business without this expense, and it's gone. I'm cutting it. We do this activity probably twice, 3 times a year with all of the market center expenses. Anything we can cut back. Have we gotten heavy on subscriptions? Have those subscriptions been making us money? Nope, it's gone. So go through and look at all of your expenses and give it a red, yellow, or green code and decide if that's something you need to keep or not. I thought I had some money and now it's gone. I feel like that all the time. Knowing exactly what you have earmarked for your money is going to help you make sure that the most important things get handled first. So here's some interesting information. So the Consumer Debt Information Service says that there is over $48 million in credit card balances in the United States. The average household has over $16,000 of credit card debt. And $5,700 is the average credit card debt goes month to month. That's a lot of debt. Credit cards are scary and evil. But there is so much debt being shouldered by our country. Here's another interesting one. This is a graph of how much people are paying for their cars every month. So this is if they're paying $1,000 or more. So you can see in Utah, we are about 2.5% of our population is paying over $1,000 a month for their car payment. That's a lot of money for a depreciating asset. Okay, so here's a little activity to do. Let's see who has the most money in their phone. How many of you guys have ever checked this before? If you have an Apple, phone, an iPhone, go to settings, click on your name, click on subscriptions, and look and see how much money you're spending every month without realizing it. If you have a phone, do it right now. If you have an iPhone, and I want to hear a little bit of feedback from you guys of, are you surprised at what you see? Do you see stuff you can cut? We've done this in a few classes. I had one girl who was paying for two, I don't remember if it was Netflix or Disney Plus, but she was paying for two subscriptions and she didn't even realize it, which is like 20 bucks a month. Or there's lots of those things. You'll start a free trial and then you'll forget to go back and cancel it. This will give you a list of everything that you have signed up for through your phone. See, we just had out a comment, someone just canceled one they didn't even realize they were paying for. So money back in your pocket. That was in the chat. Anybody else see anything as they go in there? It can be so easy to click on those things through your phone and not realize that that then becomes a monthly expense, because they're just little, but little things add up to a lot. Okay, so I'm going to tell you really quick, just a little bit about my financial story. And this was after I started at Keller Williams. So I had become a real estate agent and I was here at Keller Williams, and they decided to bring in Financial Peace University, which is a Dave Ramsey program. Some people love Dave Ramsey, some people hate him. I like parts of it and some parts of it I don't like as much. But paying off the debt was life-changing for me. So me and my husband did not talk about money a lot. He just basically grumbled and was angry because I spent too much of it. And I would grumble and be angry because he was grumbling and being angry about me spending money. We didn't have a clear plan. We weren't on the same page. So we came in and we took the class together, and you have to show up every week together. And one of the first things they have you do is write down every single one of your expenses, everything you have financed, all of that stuff, excluding your house. We didn't include our house in this part. But when we added up all of our credit cards, our car payments, RV payments, all of this stuff, we had over $110,000 in debt that we had on credit, like we were paying loans for or were on credit cards or whatever that was. So we started the debt snowball, and basically you're going to take like your highest interest or your lowest balance, and you're going to put extra money towards that. And as soon as that gets paid off, then whatever minimum payment you were paying on that one, you're going to add to the next one. And then you're paying the minimum payment for that, plus that additional $20 or $30 a month or whatever that could be, until your snowball gets bigger and bigger as you pay off all these things. And then when you hit those really big expenses, your snowball's gotten really big because you've paid off all of the little dinky things. And it's a really great way to help you get out of debt quickly. So we started with that. The first thing we did is we simplified our debt. We took our cell phones and went to the absolute cheapest cell phone vendor that you could get. My kids hated that. We got rid of our cable. Kids hated that. We got rid of our home phone. Everybody already had cell phones anyways, so we got rid of our home phone. We went through all of our subscriptions. Anything that was not absolutely mandatory, we got rid of, and it was painful. We looked at all of our monthly payments that we were paying and said, if this can't be paid off in a year, then that's too much money. We spent more than we can afford. So at that point, I had a brand new cute little car lease, and my husband had a nice big F-150 that he loved. It was like 6 months, a year old or something. And we looked at that and said, we can't pay off this car in a year. So we sold his truck, and he was really sad. And we took whatever equity we had in it, which I believe was about $7,000 at that point. And that was our budget for his car. So we went and bought a 1995 Chevy Tahoe with like 200,000 miles on it, but it could tow a trailer. And so we downsized that. I got out of my lease. I bought a little 2008 Volkswagen Passat, and that became my car. We looked at all of these things, and those were some of our biggest monthly payments. we had an RV that we loved, and that was like our favorite thing to do, was camping. We're huge campers. And so we were looking at that, and we didn't want to give it up because we'd be giving up so much family time and all these experiences, but we couldn't pay it off in a year. So we put that sucker on RV share, and we rented it out every weekend that we weren't using it. It paid itself off in less than a year, and we were able to pull it back off of RV share as completely paid off and enjoy it as just our own. So there are definitely ways around some of these things. You have to just get creative. When you pay that off, like his truck payment is probably, I don't know, $450, $500 a month. Once we sold that truck, bought a car that was paid off, we now had an extra $450 to put towards our next bill. Once you start getting those big things like that, those bills shrink down really quickly. And we were able to pay off that $110,000 in a little over a year. I think it was about 16 months. And never had we felt more free. We skipped out on every family vacation that year. My family gave us such a hard time that we never do anything. We're no fun. We won't go to California with them. We won't go on the family Hawaii trip because we were saving money. And now we can afford to do those things because we don't have all that debt weighing us down. And it is the same thing with your business expenses. It's really easy to get into business debt. So know your score, lead with revenue, play red light, green light, and stick to your budget. So profiting from profit. You can invest it in your business. You can distribute it. You can grow it. You can save it. You can donate it. You can invest it in yourself. You can reward with it, and you can thank with it. Once you get your finances in order and you have that money to do what you want to with it, buying things is not stressful. It's not scary. You can look at it and say, can I have this paid off in a year? Yep, I can. And you have a plan around it, and you know that it's executable. So you can get back into things. We no longer drive those same cars. We've upgraded again. And but it is so nice to not have like that monthly payment holding you down and the stress. There was a time when I was a new agent. I think I had closed one deal, and my husband got laid off. And so he was having a hard time finding work. So he got a contract position that paid commission. So we were in a home with 3 kids, 2 car payments, all this other stuff, and both working commission-based jobs. That was the scariest thing. And we basically looked at where we were and said, okay, Amy, you've got 6 months to make it in real estate, or you're going to have to go get another job. And that's a lot of pressure when you're trying to start your business. So get yourself in a really good position now and set up your business finances in the right way so that you don't have to worry about those types of things. Okay, so these are bank accounts that are in the book, in the MREA book, that they recommend you have as a business owner. So business checking, business savings, a business credit card, business credit line. You need to have a personal tax savings. And then there's others such as all of your personal accounts and your investment accounts. One of the most important ones that I found is that tax savings account. I need to move that out of my business operating accounts so that I don't see it when I'm looking at how much money is in there. It's earmarked and set aside where it's harder to get to. So take a look at those. Write down any that maybe you don't have that you should set up. Okay. I've got all the money I'll ever need if I die by 4 o'clock this afternoon. All right, so setting up your business. Like I said, a lot of you guys are first-time business owners. So where do you start? What is the first thing that you do? So you need to choose what type of business you're going to set up. Are you going to have a sole proprietor? Are you going to be an LLC? Or are you going to go and set up an S Corp? Before you choose, make sure that you know the tax consequences of each of those options. So every option has tax consequences. This is where having that tax advisor, that really good accountant, comes in handy. They'll help you set it up, but they'll also be able to tell you what the tax consequences are with each of these. Don't rush into a decision until your business is up and running and you can make realistic projections about what your income and expenses are going to be like. So a sole proprietorship, the owner receives all profit after taxes. The owner has responsibility for all losses and debt. Personal assets may be at risk, and personal income and expenses are reported on a Schedule C as part of your personal tax return. This is usually where most people start out. The part that scares me about this is the personal assets may be at risk. So if something were to happen, someone could potentially come after your home or your personal savings due to a business complication, right? So the next option here would be an LLC. And I say most people will start with an LLC fairly quickly. And the reason why is because it shields your personal assets. So they can only come after your business assets. So whatever is held by your LLC is what could be seized in a lawsuit or something like that. So it'll help protect your personal assets. You cannot have commingling of business and personal money. So a little more complicated as far as the accounting goes. The owners of LLC may not be personally responsible for business debts. There are flexible tax reporting options. Insurance costs may be less, and you do have the option to be taxed as an S Corp or sole proprietor, and it can increase your professional image. The other option is the S Corp. It's a pass-through entity, so the business itself isn't taxed. The owners pay personal income tax on profits, and the owners are treated as employees with a salary. So when I was doing real estate full-time, I was set up as an S Corp. So I was set up to pay myself a salary every month. And then I would cut myself, those tax documents at the end of the year as an employee of my own company. So the great thing with an S Corp is you get a lot of tax benefits. You can save a lot of money, but it is also more expensive to run because you have to do quarterly taxes. You have to run payroll, all of those things. So I used my accountant for all of that. So I had higher accounting bills coming out, and I had to also allocate that money for quarterly taxes. So there's pros and cons with a lot of them. Get a good accountant that you trust, that is familiar with real estate business before you make a decision on what you want to do with yours. Any questions on types of companies? I always recommend to people to at least set up an LLC pretty quickly so that you can separate your business money from your personal money and you have that layer of protection. An LLC is easy, quick, cheap to put, to set up. You can do it online. And then you always have the option if you want to convert that LLC to an S Corp. Okay. This is a sample, again, that I can email out to you guys of an income statement. So the income statement is basically a snapshot of all of my money coming into my company. So all of that GCI that we're making from our real estate company, what our cost of sales are, what our expenses are, and what our profit is. And you should complete these for each and every month that you're in business. A great way to really know how your business is doing is being able to look at this. We call it a P&L. And was your business profitable? We're all in business to make money. And if we're not staying on top of our money and don't know exactly what we're bringing in and what is going out, that can be a hard question to answer. So if you fill one of these out, just a little Excel spreadsheet every month, you'll know exactly where all of your money is going and what you're bringing in. Okay, so these are some of your real estate financial definitions that you'll want to get familiar with. So income, we all know that one. Where your money comes from includes residential and commercial listings, sales, lease, customer transaction fees, and bonuses. The cost of sales is a direct result of a sale. It includes any wages, splits tied to employees and or independent contractors, any outside referrals paid or concessions given. Gross profit is your income minus your cost of sales. That's what your 1099 income would be, is your total GCI minus all of your cost of sales. Expenses, where your money goes, including all costs of operating your business, regardless if a sale is made or not. Business profit is gross profit minus expenses, how much money your business activities have made. Other income is residual income that does not necessarily come from real estate activity. Other expenses includes money set aside for income tax and expenses not attributed to your business activities. And your net income is your business profit plus other income minus other expenses. That is how much money is left over for you. And that's the number that when I'm talking to someone about the success of their business, I want to know what their net number is. That's going to really tell me what type of business owner they are. Okay, so we'll talk quickly about taxes. We've got 5 minutes here. The hardest thing to understand in the world is income tax. Albert Einstein said that. I am not a tax expert. I use accountants, tax accountants, for all of my taxes. But there are different types of tax. You've got income tax, self-employment tax, and employment tax. Deductions. Deductible business expenses must conform to the rule of regularity and exclusively used in the business. So it needs to be used regularly in your business and exclusively by your business to be a business deductible. So this is a list of common deductions that you can take as a real estate professional. These are used to reduce the amount of your taxable income. So if you had $100,000 that you brought in GCI and you had $10,000 in tax deduction, business deductions, your taxable income would decrease to $90,000, which would then reduce the amount of taxes that you have to pay on that income. Does that make sense? There are some accountants that get really creative with these. I like somewhere in the middle, but a lot of them, that you like your automobile, there's certain ways you can write off your car payment or write off the purchase of a car. Your subscriptions, your board dues are tax deductions. All of that type of stuff, anything you use for marketing, all of that. So keep track. It's another great reason to keep a P&L because you'll be able to classify all of these each month at the end of every month. So when it comes time to do taxes, you're not just pulling out a shoebox of a million different receipts. You already have them plugged into a P&L and you know how much you've spent in each of those categories. Probably one of the biggest ways to kick yourself in the pants as a business owner is not keeping track of your deductions, because you can really save a lot of money if you know what is deductible and keep track of those. So here's a list of some commonly used deductions. Okay, so here's your action steps from today's class. Mark down any that you have not done that you need to do. So set up your business entity. Open up any additional bank accounts for expenses, taxes, other savings, etc. Download the MREA chart of accounts. So again, that's the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book chart of accounts. You can Google the chart of accounts. It just gives you, it's made for real estate. So it'll give you all of those nice categories that all of your business expenses are going to fit into because you're a real estate agent. Purchase or download tax or accounting software. You can use anything you want. You can even just start out using the Excel spreadsheet that I'll send you. That's basic 101. As your business gets more complicated, I recommend that you upgrade to like a QuickBooks or something like that. Hire an accountant, CPA, attorney that knows a lot about real estate. Set up a simple system to track your business expenses. Complete your P&L, that profit and loss statement, every month. Set aside time each month to review your financials. Have a meeting with someone to hold you accountable. Maybe it's another agent who needs to do the same thing, and you say, let's meet up once a month and let's be accountable for our financials, that we have our P&L, that we've done these things. Maybe it's your spouse, whatever it is, but sit down and have these reports ready and go over them. So I had, oh, I don't know if I can find it. I had my finance meeting today for one of the market centers, and this is literally a book of just 1 month's finances for the market center. But I do every single report. I analyze all of the finances and then I present them so that I'm accountable for where each and every dollar that the market center received and spent, where that went. And you should have the same exact thing for your business. Set an annual appointment to set up your budget for the upcoming year. So as we're getting closer, I think in October and November, we're going to have a lot of business planning clinics. That is awesome. You're going to get all the information, the materials, everything you need to set up a business plan for next year. And part of your business plan should include next year's budget and what you're going to plan on spending on your business. Set dates to calculate and pay your estimated taxes. Make sure you're setting that money aside where you're not going to touch it. And download the IRS Schedule C and review it. I don't know if this is going to launch by itself. Okay, good. So I have this little video I want to share with you guys kind of right at the end, and it can be overwhelming. And I can definitely tell you, I mean, I have a reputation, Terry and Lori will tell you, of like, I like to shop a lot and I'm a therapy shopper. And sometimes, like, especially when we were going through our process of getting out of debt, like I did not get to do that for a really long time. And it takes a lot to learn to focus on the one important thing first, and then the next important thing, and then the next important thing. And as those combine, then you get the freedom where if you want to go splurge on shopping, you can, and it doesn't hurt anyone, your husband, your family, your expenses, whatever, because you've got that money set aside. So this is a cool video that Keller Williams put out. You'll spy Gary Keller. He is a puppet in this video. But I love it. It's called The Story of Strings. So I'm going to share this with you guys real quick. Let's see.
Life force is made up of strings. When you want to accomplish something, attain something, do something, you simply send out one of your strings, and then your life is automatically pulled towards that. So imagine that there are two motivated people who both realize this truth. One individual says, I'm going to focus on one thing at a time and see how that works for me. And immediately and predictably, his life begins to move towards it. Now, the other individual says, I also want to do a lot of things and accomplish a lot of things, and I just need to get after all of it right now. So he sends out 6 different strings at one time, and immediately and predictably starts moving towards each of his desires. But he doesn't understand. He is going to be denied. Why? Because his strings are pulling him in different directions. And he's going to reach a point where he simply can't get any closer. The competing tensions will simply slow him down. What about the other individual? Well, he ultimately gets pulled all the way to whatever he wants. He attains it, then he immediately picks another one and attains that. And then he picks another one and attains that. You see, the challenge we each have is recognizing this simple truth. We can achieve mastery sequentially, but not simultaneously. Tap into the transformative power of clarity by focusing on one.
Cool. So I love that video. It just helps to remind me that you can have literally anything you want. Everything is possible. The world is at your feet, but you've got to pick what is most important to go after first. So you guys have made a great decision in getting into real estate and becoming business owners. And now it's time to prioritize all of those choices and expenses and how you run your business so that you can be successful. So if there's anything I can ever do for you, if you want to talk through paying down debt or good ways to put together budgets, need help filling out a sample P&L, I am absolutely here for you. I'm at both market centers. I spend my time 50-50. So let me know, and can't wait to watch you guys grow and succeed with your new businesses.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Do you guys have any questions or anything before we end it?
Do you have any good accountant recommendation for us?
I do have a couple good accountant recommendations. I can send them over to Terry and Lori. And really, as long as they work with real estate agents, you're going to find some good ones. I personally work with Insight Tax. Michelle with Insight Tax does a lot of real estate agents. I've worked with David White with Elite Tax Professionals. And then our MCA in Orem, so she has the same position as me. She's actually a licensed tax accountant, and she does taxes for a lot of employees of Keller Williams as well, and is really familiar with the MREA chart of accounts as well. Her name's Nova Lee in Westfield. So just a few suggestions for you.
So if we need some, in the future, we have some questions, so how can we reach you? How can we make appointment with you?
Sure. Yeah. Just email me at amymcmullen@kw.com, spelled just like in my little square there. And I would love to sit down and schedule out some time.
So can you write here? I don't know. Your email address still.
Yeah, it's just Amy McMullen. So AMYMCMULLEN @kw.com. Awesome. Any other questions?
Okay, just your name, first name, last name, and then at kw.com, right?
Yep, that's it. Easy peasy. All right, you guys. Well, thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate it. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.